So next we're going to talk about APEEL protective film and APEEL cover tape. So if you were paying attention yesterday, Dave French talked about this when he talked about some new products and innovative products. So APEEL's been around for quite a while. It's a 3.2 mil plastic film that we laminate to the top of the TPO sheet. And as Dave talked about yesterday, that's really there, and that was driven by contractors telling us they need to go back and pressure wash that roof after the job is finished because it got dirty during construction and that owner is expecting a nice, clean, reflective white roof. So beyond that, there's some other benefits as well, though, to APEEL that we've found through contractors using it. And one of those that we'll show you here today when we peel this off is actually, it makes it a lot easier in certain cases to find punctures, cuts, holes, something that might have happened during installation that wouldn't be immediately apparent when you're walking the roof. So one of the other issues we found with APEEL, though, was when contractors would apply this, we apply the APEEL in the factory up to the pen line on the membrane, so 5.5 inches from the edge of the sheet, because that's how much overlap you need if you're mechanically attaching TPO membrane. But if you're adhering the membrane, you're not going to need that much. You're only going to need about 2 inches of overlap so you can get a good heat weld there. So what happens is you get a seam like this right here where you've got 1 inch or 2 or maybe 3 inches of exposed membrane, and when they go to pull that off, you get what we call the zebra stripe effect, because if that membrane and that APEEL has gotten dirty, it's going to be dirty in those sections and it's going to be nice and clean and bright where you had the APEEL protective film. So the solution to that we came up with was, as you see here, that Jesse's holding at the top of the sheet there, is what we call APEEL cover tape. So it's the same film as the APEEL that's laminated to the membrane. It comes in a 6-inch wide by 1,640 foot long roll, so there's quite a bit of it there. And we also make this applicator, so we make it extremely easy for contractors to go right down a 100-foot seam and apply it to that seam. They can also hand apply it around details or places where they've cut that APEEL film back in order to heat weld it. And so it is relatively loud. I liken it to almost a giant packing tape dispenser for anyone who's packed a box before. But you can see how easy that is to cover that area now and keep that clean. So after that, we're going to go ahead here and we're going to start to peel the APEEL film back. And you'll see on the right side of the sheet, we've actually intentionally put a couple of nicks in this sheet towards the top of it. And as Jim peels this, you may be able to see that. So if you're on the roof with a contractor, or you're the contractor on the roof, and you start to peel this back, and all of a sudden you see a hole or a cut in that APEEL protective film, like you see right here as Jim begins to pull it up, now you know, I need to go back there and I need to look to see if that membrane's punctured or there's a cut there. I can circle that with a crayon, I can come back later, I can have a guy come over right away and examine it, make sure there's not a hole there, or patch it if there is a hole. So it really prevents you from having to come back maybe a week later when it rains and the building owner's calling saying, I got a leak in my brand new roof and I'm not happy. So another ancillary benefit that we've discovered with APEEL that's pretty cool. So I would encourage all of you, if you don't specify that product, you would ask for it on your next bid. Great product, going to deliver a great roof when you're finished. So, any questions about APEEL? Greg? PVC? We're working on it. Jesse may have a better idea here about timeline, but it's certainly something that's in the queue, something we want to get accomplished, but as I'm sure you're aware, sticking things to PVC is a lot different than sticking things to TPO. So I know we're working on it. We're probably pretty close, but it's not quite there yet.
Yeah, so just to answer your question there, the question was APEEL on PVC, right? So it's terribly difficult to stick anything to PVC because of the plasticizer migration. So it's not really friendly to any adhesive. So we are very close. So we're in a testing phase right now. We have products on roofs. So we're working on it and we're really close. We know that it's a big market and we're right around the corner. So stay tuned.
Any other questions? Is the film recyclable is the question, and unfortunately, no, it is not because it has that adhesive on it. Depending on what area of the country you're in, though, the one piece of feedback that we have gotten. If you're in an area where water is scarce, the desert Southwest US or Southern California, it's actually a lot more environmentally friendly to use this and put it in a dumpster than using all that water to pressure wash the roof. But no, it is not recyclable, unfortunately. Any other questions?
Can you install this one on the existing EPDM roof?
What's that now?
Can you install that thing in the existing EPDM roof?
APEEL on EPDM. So we don't make EPDM with APEEL protective film, and you wouldn't be able to install that large sheet like that on EPDM. I don't know as though we've actually tested the cover tape on EPDM, but without the sheet on the rest of the membrane, it probably wouldn't be necessary or worth using. Any other questions? If not, I will turn it back over to Brandon here to talk more about insulation.